To today's other big story, those unprecedented penalties for Penn State. This morning, you watched right here on RTV6 as the NCAA slammed Penn State with a series of sanctions in the wake of the Jerry Sandusky child sex abuse scandal. Here's a look at those penalties now. A $60 million fine, the loss of all victories from 1998 to 2011, stripping Joe Paterno of the title of winningest coach in college football history. The football team will also be banned from any postseason play for 4 years. The NCAA stopped short of shutting down the program, but the punishment is still crippling. RTV6 reporter Norman Cox joins us live downtown from NCAA headquarters with reaction. Norman?
Well, today's sanctions were imposed with 3 goals in mind: to punish Penn State and its leadership for their complicity in the scandal, to make sure that it never happens again, and to comfort the victims, although NCAA officials acknowledge that their ability there is limited. Some critics had questioned the NCAA's right to impose sanctions, since the Sandusky scandal did not involve on-field issues or anything providing Penn State a competitive advantage. But Oregon State President Ed Ray, the NCAA chairman, said the unprecedented actions taken today were warranted by the conspiracy of silence that was maintained at the highest levels of the university in reckless and callous disregard for the children.
Not only does the NCAA have the authority to act in this case, we also have the responsibility to say that such egregious behavior is not only against our bylaws and Constitution, but also against our value system and basic human decency.
Ray said that leadership failures at Penn State over an extended period of time directly violated rules regarding integrity, ethical conduct, and the dreaded lack of institutional control rule that often leads to the most severe penalties. President Mark Emmert said the Penn State case has shaken the organization's fundamental confidence in many ways.
We've kept foremost in our thoughts the tragic damage that has been done to the victims and their families. No matter what we do here today, there is no action we can take that'll remove their pain and anguish.
But what Emmert said the organization could do is impose sanctions reflecting the magnitude of the terrible acts and ensuring that Penn State rebuilds an athletic culture that went horribly awry.
Our goal is not to be just punitive, but to make sure the university establishes an athletic culture and daily mindset in which football will never again be placed ahead of educating, nurturing, and protecting young people.
There had been calls for Penn State to receive the death penalty, but Emmert said that would have hurt too many people who weren't involved in the violations. However, that has not seemed to be a consideration in the past. For example, I'm sure there were innocent bystanders also hurt in the 80s when the NCAA gave Southern Methodist the death penalty. Erica?
So, Norm, is this the end of it?
Maybe not. Officials say that this was to go after the school today and that they may reserve the right to go after individuals once their criminal trials are over. However, it's hard to know what would happen there. For example, Paterno is already dead, and I would think that the other people either not going to be employed by Penn State anymore, surely by the time those trials are over. So what they can do there, open to question.
All right, Norman Cox reporting live downtown. Thanks, Norm.